G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talk Stuff, Ukraine War Update for the 24th of June 2026. I'm your host, the author, David Applegate, and as the war continues, I continue to bring you the news without fear or bias. Now, a lot of people have a lot of biases and cognitive dissonance when it comes to Ukraine. The fact is, despite all of Ukraine's strikes on Russia, the Russian economy continues to grow. Despite all the attempts to isolate Russia with sanctions, countries continue not just to only ignore sanctions on Russia, but quietly investing in Russia through third countries such as India and Brazil. And, of course, China, though and India are doing it morally as vultures to try and pick apart the Russian economy to bolster their own. The reality is Russia can achieve more than Europe for less. Europe cannot seem to get out of its own shadow. Its own ideological biases are preventing it from seeing reality. Because in my opinion, the Kiev regime would have been crushed by a European army long ago for ethnic cleansing if it wasn't for the fact they were attacking Russians or Zelensky's own position or ethnicity. Remember Keir Starmer resigning. He said, "I serve the country I love to the best of my ability." Which is it? Israel or Ukraine? Yes, both. Exactly. Now, as we look around the map, piece by piece, inch by inch, Russia is taking Ukraine apart. Now, it is not entirely setting out to conquer Ukraine. Rather than they're setting out to crush Ukraine. To make the cost of war against Russia so devastating and so lasting in consequence that no one would dare do it again in their lifetime. And that is, you look at how they crushed Napoleon, you look how they humiliated the Germans. When Germany offered to surrender, it was unconditional, nothing else. They'd been negotiating for months, but nothing was acceptable anymore to the Russians. Or I don't think it ever was, to be honest. But at least what we have here is a different story. We do not have total humiliation or total war. What we have, however, is Putin's systematic grinding. And it is highly effective. You can see, though, it is not as fast as total war or complete conquest. But what it is, it's driving out Ukraine. It's pushing back Ukraine. And in the Lyman area, the Russians have taken more territory. As you can see, they've taken parts of the city. But this is all Lyman. It's a big area, and they've taken large chunks of it already. They've taken little bits out of here. They continue to push. They continue to push here. And continue to push here. Now, for whatever reason, I think it has to do with what you would call shaping of the battlefield. The push stopped short here, so obviously there's still concerns about missiles or getting to just within artillery range rather than getting closer to maximize artillery range. That would be involve taking this town and putting up with Ukrainian fire. But the bunkers let's just call it what it is. There's no housing in these towns. They're bunkers. The bunkers are, the Russians are going house to house now, clearing out the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians refuse to surrender, refuse to retreat, and are still trying to pour men and equipment into Krasnokovia and airdrop the pockets of resistance they have along the river. If Russia had increased manpower, they probably would have destroyed Krasnokovia by now, but they're grinding because they want the pain of loss burnt into Ukraine. It's how they think. Not now. Russia is advancing towards this line here to attack this fortress line from behind to have a L. Right? You put an L. It's hard, but right now the L would be at the back and at the south. Right, or a V or a U, however you want to frame it. They want to attack from at least two to three sides to flank and keep the Ukrainians unsteady. So they've pushed up, right? They've pushed up. So I said the Russians, once they get advantage, yeah, they'll take it when they know they can hold it. Although they've not always been able to hold it, like Kupiansk, but Bakhmut took them a couple of times. I'm sure Krasnokovia has taken them a long time, but they're learning from each mistake. Now here, when they've been caught unable to advance, they spread out. They increase their front. The same here. They increase their front. There's the L. There's the cauldron. And they grind the Ukrainians. And they increase the front and they grind the Ukrainians. And they grind. This is a weird bubble, but it still holds. And Ukraine hasn't been able to push back anywhere. Now, most of the drone and missile attacks on been the same thing. Kharkiv, Dnipro, Kryvyi, artillery at Kherson. Increasingly, Pokrovka has come under attack. Now, before I continue, Empire Valves, that's one word, empirevalves.myshopify.com. Your one-stop shop for enchanting artifacts based on my writing. Support the channel today. Thank you for your purchase. I appreciate each and every one of you. Now, moving on, Russia has, as I said, they leased back Su-25s. They've purchased some from other countries, not just North Korea. They have also refurbished and increased production of their own, Su-35s. They were going to cease the Su-25 production and go with the Su-35, but it looks now that cost and performance ratio that they're going to hold off on the Su-35 and continue with the more, for now, cost-effective Su-35. 25. Now, but the reason is the Banderal missile. That's the S-8000. It's a cruise missile from Kondat's group used by the Russian armed forces. It means package. Indeed, it is a package. Yeah. All right, so it's a small cruise missile, means small parcel. Ukraine says, look what we discovered. But yeah, discovered, I mean, shut up. Oh yeah, I knew this name familiar. You know, Orion. A lot of the big fixed wing drones, Orion. Now the thing about the Bannister is its low cost of production, and it does. It has dual guidance. It's the cheapest cruise missile apparently out there, and it just goes over 700 kilometers an hour. So yes, it's a cruise missile. It is primarily air launched, but it can be integrated as low as a helicopter launched cruise missile. It's only 100, well, that's mostly warhead. So it's around 200, 300 kilograms, just enough for a helicopter lift to launch. Yeah. Introduced into service late last year, only publicly released now, but it has apparently been quite devastating. Now, Ukraine is entering the global military market with bunkers, portable, reliable, protective structures for military or civilian applications for extreme safety and extreme conditions. And as you can see, they're advertising in English on their primary site. And as you can see, they have bunkers. And there you go. They're housing bunkers. That's Krasnokovia. It's what you've seen Russia systematically destroy day by day with missiles and drones. You saw yesterday or day before as well the destruction of some of these fortified structures. There's a race on now for both sides to capitalize on this war before the momentum is lost. Because once it's over, it's over. Now, the West, according to a Spanish politician, has been trying to weaken Russia, and it's not working, and that we should stop trying and instead stop trying. We should stop trying to undermine Russia and start bringing peace to both nations. Systematically, you only bring peace to one side, you will never end the war, and that is a fact. Now, Ukraine, of course, isn't the only one kicking and screaming its way to the peace table. Iran is doing the same, prolonging the war, trying to maximize its profit, trying to get you to pay it more money, pay us money. But Russia and China may not be propping up the Iranian economy anymore because they have their own worries. But we never know. It still could be yet another trap to try and humiliate Trump going into the midterms, because if Trump can't deliver peace to Ukraine, they're going to give they're going to punish the Republicans, give the Democrats a go, and they're going to get more of the same, because the Democrats are never going to make peace in Ukraine either. They want total victory, comrades. But then again, if things are milquetoast, they both maybe suddenly become very more enthusiastic than ever to make peace. But one of the things that is turning against Ukraine is drones, because whether or not you want to believe it, it's true. Estonia has launched formal complaints in European Parliament about Russia, not about drones, and said they're not Russian, they're Ukrainian. An Estonian man found a Ukrainian drone. The story was suppressed, and so he took it to. He's a Ukrainian supporter, by the way, so he took to the media, X, posted about it, and yeah, Ukrainian raid, right, in the Baltic Sea, ended up with the Estonian military scrambling jets because of, though later they claimed no air threat was detected, but a swarm of drones crossed Estonia. My guess is that yeah, my guess is they were preparing to shoot them down if they veered off their flight path, like the one in Romania. And it's not the first time, and it won't be the last time you have problems with electronics all the time, especially, heck, nothing's perfect. Putin has said the quiet part out loud when pressed by the media, when asked about the state of the war and giving his General Assembly speech, the same answers every time. We're pressing on all fronts, and that is all. There's not a single place where Ukraine has been able to launch a successful. But again, knock wood, I could turn around tomorrow and there might be a successful counteroffensive. There's only a few places where counteroffensive has lasted as long as it has. There's only a few, and they are slowly being ground back down again. Russian forces are advancing in Kostrakovia. They are systematically destroying the Ukrainian bunkers there. The West has been supplying Kiev with swarm drones. Now, recently we've seen what's it called? A jellyfish attack where the drones, they come in waves, wave after wave, and they're actually keeping their distance, able to scatter when air defences are launched. And we've seen this with Russian drones as well as of Kostrakovia, where the Lightning II coming in for a strike on Ukrainian bunkers, coming under ground fire from outside of the city, and the drones are able to evade the ground fire, which means they're getting external information to the drone controller, and he knows he's under attack and from where. Now, the entire West it's not entirely the entire West, but it's near enough to say that half the countries in Western Europe are supplying drones to Ukraine. And they are losing hundreds of drones per day in Ukraine. And I don't know how many they lose to electronic warfare, but I'd say the majority aren't getting shot down. They're just getting jammed. And this is what's going to be, and of course you've got the huge amounts of fiber optic cable. But Ukraine is not going to be the breadbasket of Europe. It's going to be a toxic wasteland, costing millions of dollars a day to support, millions of dollars a day to clean up. And I think ultimately that's what Putin is going to walk away from, right? He's going to start building his border. I don't know when, but once he starts building his border, there won't be a declaration of an end to the war. It'll be a huge stalemate, and Putin will build his border, and Zelensky will fire on it. There'll be damage, there'll be sabotage, and for months to come. And then one day, someone in Ukraine will go pop, and there'll be an election. Zelensky will be forgotten in 6 months' time. People try to build memorials, try to keep the momentum going. Hollywood will try to make a movie, but I'm telling you, and eventually, people will just want to move on from the war, and the best way to do that is they'll pour it all onto Zelensky. He's a menace of his own making. Putin has the backing of the Russian people. He has the momentum right now, and if he doesn't, and it's his his war to lose. But it's not going to be a victory. It is going to be a stalemate. It is by design. It is to make sure that you pretty much suffer and go, well, there's no glory in this. There's no reason to continue. And there is no glory in Ukraine. All these people who chant glory to Ukraine, don't see you there. You don't mean it. You're just another. In 2 weeks' time, you'll be looking for some other fad to cheer yourself up with. But for Spain to come out and call out this war and say they shouldn't be fighting, congratulations, you're a hero. Because to go against the powers to be who want to profit off this war and destroy civilization simply because Daddy didn't buy me a pony. Now, thank you all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please support the channel. Support me on Ko-Fi, Patreon. Buy my books, buy my merch. Appreciate each and every one of you. See you in the next video, and bye for now.